If you want to make us watch Finding Nemo, yeah,
I don't want to watch it.
Set that precedent, Tony. We'll see what else we'll watch.
Whoa, this guy coming in hot. Okay. Fighting words. I see.
An array of movies, not in English, ready to go.
You're already talking an array of movies. Jeez, this guy bringing the intellect. Too early, Dan.
Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's like watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hey Watching with Dan and Tony. I am Dan.
And I am Tony.
We're the guys that dare to go back to the 90s and watch movies from the 90s and criticize the 90s, which very dangerous thing to do in this political climate.
Well, I mean, it's a different world. 25 years ago was a very different time. But I will say I would love to live there again. I do miss the 90s.
The suburbs were very nice for all white people.
Oh, the suburbs. I miss it. I miss it so much. What a quaint little life we had, Dan.
I grew up in the 70s, and still, what a great life we had.
Yeah, amen. What happened? What did we do?
We saw the whole world was laid out before us. Anything was possible. Actually, anything wasn't possible, but at least you thought you could have a job or something.
People told you that anything was possible, and you believed it because you were looked around. You're like, well, everything seems pretty nice. I bet I can get a real job. You can't. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's interesting now. Oh, my God, I'm dying.
Yeah, Dan's dying. This is our last episode, everybody. Congratulations. You made it.
I'm going to hit the mute and clear my throat.
All right. While Dan does that, I'll just talk about my life in the suburbs. What a wonderful time. I mean, riding your bike everywhere is my favorite part of this movie. Just straight up. I miss kids riding their bikes places. And now, if they ride their bikes, they get kidnapped.
Tony, tell us about what movie we're watching.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're watching the classic picture Milk Money, which Dan thought was about some sort of breastfeeding, I believe last week is what you said.
This one, suggested by Anonymous Mail,
there you go.
Shay Stanley. She gave us a bunch of good ones. My stepmother's an alien. Little Monsters, Problem Child.
You're just gonna read them all? Or we're gonna do them all.
Free Jack, Milk Money, Carpool. Is Carpool?
I don't know what Carpool is.
And
Stand by.
An Alan Smithy movie, Burn Hollywood Burn.
Never heard of that either. I'm in.
Yeah, so a lot of movies that we're going to look into and see if they fit the bill. But Milk Money absolutely fit the bill.
I mean, straight up, I'll tell you right now, we're watching Carpool just based off of the image for the poster, and Tom Arnold is in it. We're in. Yeah. I don't care about anything else. I'm in.
Yeah, Milk Money, 1994, hour 48 minutes. Melanie Griffith, Ed Harris, and an array of children that look like other children we've seen before.
So let me just say, the cool kid, if you remember, cool out of the three, the cool one, he is a guy that went on to do another film just years later called I'll Be Home for Christmas with Jonathan Taylor, JTT. What's his name?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, that guy. And Jessica Biel. And that's a every year watch for us. And his name's Eddie in that picture. And it's the same character. And I loved it so much. This is like a prequel to that movie. And 10 out of 10, guys. This kid I love him. I love him.
And I think Anne Heche played the blonde girl.
She played the brunette hooker.
No.
Yes, sir.
No, not a chance. Sir. Not a chance.
100 million%.
Not a chance.
The loopy one? That's Anne Heche. Yeah.
Oh, the girl in the... Oh, okay. I didn't think of her as a hooker. I just thought of her as the girlfriend.
I guess, yeah. Am I making generalizations? Oh, I've already offended everybody. Shoot.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then. Oh.
Yeah.
She was pretty good, actually.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's a good actor.
Sadly died in a...
horrible car accident?
Fireball of car accident.
Yeah. What a wild story that is.
That one was like, you watch the video, and she's just like... going down the street, you're like, oh dear, this is not good.
I don't know, man. That's some wild shit. I don't like cars. Just straight up. I'll tell you that right now.
There it is. Well, that makes more sense. I was trying to figure that out. I was like,
you thought she was one of the children?
I thought, she's one of the children. Yeah. I was like, okay, one of the children.
Okay, I'm just going with it. Let's do this. I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, Milk Money. Thank you, Shay. This movie, very 90s.
I'm really excited to hear what you think about this movie, Dan. Let me just say right now, kind of loved it. I'm just gonna tell you right. I love 90s movies. That vibe it's probably nostalgia, let's be honest, but it's a time where like shit doesn't have to make sense and yet we still have fun, you know?
The psychological consequences of the things that happen to people in 90s movie is like, it's fine.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. When we get to the end of this movie, that's going to be a very important point about the Ed Harris character, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Jesus. So this movie is like if Pretty Woman had sex with Home Alone.
Yeah, which is two great movies. Let's put them together. That makes sense to me in my head.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question, Tony.
Yeah.
Who was this movie made for?
Families, just families sitting around sharing popcorn, talking, and your kid's like, what's a prostitute? And then you got to let them know. So it's educational as well.
When did you know in your childhood what a prostitute was?
As if I remember that. I'm sure it was pretty young because, I grew up with more information than you did.
For sure, I would think so.
And now there's all of the information's available. So kids, kids know immediately.
4-year-olds like, there's a prostitute.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, calm down, buddy. Dear. Calm down. So I was probably because this. When was this made? 96?
94. It's
94. So I was 9 when this came out. So I was a little young, probably.
Yeah,
but not way too young, I'd say.
Because Pretty Woman and Home Alone were both 1990, and
yeah,
so those two movies sort of infected a lot of what happened, and so you end up with this movie that's like, we will try to appeal to both of those audiences, and you're at a certain point, you're like, this is not a kids' movie.
Well, they're two very different audiences. That's the problem. You know
is that what it is?
Yeah. I get on paper when you're just thinking about it, you're like, this movie is great. This movie is great. They made a ton of money. Let's combine them. That'll make double the money. That's not the way it works because neither people are going to be totally satisfied with this movie. And some of them will be like, what the hell is going on?
Yes. My children are watching this. I don't think so. So yes, there's a lot of interesting psychological scarring and and things like that happen to some of the secondary characters that you're just like, oh dear, this kid.
The other kid with his dad, which we'll talk about, like it's so casually thrown about, and I was like, what the hell's going on?
It's great. It's your classic writer, like, I need to get the bad guy to come to town. How am I going to do that? Oh.
I have a better idea, but I'll wait to pitch it. But I fixed that little problem.
Oh, you fixed that problem so that one of the kids, his whole family and situation is not completely ruined?
Well, no, it's even worse, but it makes more sense to me.
Oh, okay.
He's the bad guy, Dan. That dad is the kingpin.
Oh.
Instead of the random guy at the end that we never meet, it's actually that dude. He's running the whole prostitution ring. That's a great movie.
See, that's good. He goes to the office, runs the ring, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
That actually would redeem this movie in a lot of ways.
That's what I'm saying, Dan. I fixed it. Because otherwise, this movie's perfect. So, I love it.
So we meet the kids. They're in the treehouse. They're talking about farts and barfing and, barfing out a string bean out the nose.
Yeah.
And lobbing the bogey off of the Empire State Building and killing someone.
Killing someone? He's in jail now.
I mean, didn't you wonder if you threw the penny off the Empire State Building, if it would kill someone?
Yeah. Oh no, that was a huge. Even my age, that was like a huge thing. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I know it happened. It happened, dude." Yeah, it didn't happen. But would it? Do you know the answer? It would, right?
No, absolutely not.
Because it doesn't increase. Or how does it work? How does gravity work?
Well, there's a maximum. You get a maximum velocity because
of course
it's falling through air, which is causing things to happen
because it's got friction up or something. So okay.
And actually, MythBusters did a whole thing about it where it flips.
See, that's what we needed. Thank you, Mythbusters.
Mythbusters does a whole thing about it, but no, it would not kill you.
It still hurt, though, right?
I mean, it'd be like getting hit by a penny that was thrown off of a building.
Yeah, that hurts. Okay,
No.
People have thrown pennies at me. Copper hurts.
But you see, those are things that have probably had added acceleration added to them. Like, right, if you
because of the throwing, I see what you're saying.
If you put a penny in a gun and shoot somebody with it, they will kill them, right? Because it'll.
I might kill you because the gun would probably explode. Don't try that at home, kids. That's a terrible idea.
And if you put a penny in a gun, it'll probably explode in your face. So
that's not good. That's not good at all.
All not good things to do for children.
This is a family show. See, so you're teaching them.
Teach the children. So they get out the sacred shoebox, and each of them puts like a magical item that they
don't understand or something like. It was like something that we don't yet understand, and we'll open it again when we do understand. I don't know. It's a weird time capsule that I don't understand.
There are definitely a lot of things in this movie that they're like, we'll just do this so that we can go there.
Just move the plot. Yeah, we want you to know that they don't quite understand sex, and that's important to the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so one kid brings his mom's diaphragm. The next kid brings an eyelash curler. And then the third kid, our hero, Frank. Don't like that name at all. I'd also don't like that one of the kids'
for a child.
Well, it's just we don't hear it for a long time. We don't really use it. We know the other kid, Kevin's name, much sooner, and it's Kevin, Brad, and Frank.
And Brad's the cool kid.
Brad's the cool kid with the leather jacket. Frank's name we don't really hear for, like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But we hear Kevin's name a lot, and Kevin also is the name of the kid in the movie that you're ripping off. So why are you putting a Kevin in here? Don't put a Kevin in.
So that you know. It's to relate to it. You're like, oh, yeah, Kevin McAllister. This movie's great.
It's great. And it worked with Tony.
Hook, line, and sinker, baby. I'm in.
So we learn Frank's mom is dead.
And he burns her up in the shoebox.
Wait, he doesn't burn her.
They don't burn it, but he throws in a picture of her. I don't know. Yeah, it was a weird moment.
He saves the shoe. They saved the shoebox. And
that's true. Eventually, he throws it in the trash.
in a system that doesn't make any sense.
Take this, dead mom. Throws it in the trash.
But it wasn't even anti the dead mom. It was anti V.
V, whose necklace got added way later. I don't know, man.
Now here's my question, which is a little before I mentioned. In this movie, we her name is V, and we ask her, what does that stand for? And we never answer that question. And
we do eventually.
Oh, do we eventually? What is her name?
We do. Eve. So Ed and her are cuddling in the treehouse after he yells at her for being a whore, and then they make up. He tells her about his dead wife, and then she's like, "My name's Eve." I dropped the E's because it sounded too biblical, which is like a sad comment on her profession, I think. And then they make sweet, sweet love.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so we're suburbia. We got the paper boy. He's taking a shower. He has to plunge the drain with the toilet plunger. Don't plunge the drain with the toilet plunger.
No, okay, I was going to ask you if that were because I get yelled at all the time for hair in the drain. I'm not going to lie to you. I just wondered if it worked. I would give it a shot.
How do you have hair in the drain?
Dan. I understand there's no hair up here. We'll talk about this later when we talk about the body hair. There's hair everywhere else. Basically.
It just streams off.
It is. Oh, it's terrible, man. I'm the worst. I'm a creature.
Hair in the drain. Drains weren't as good back then as drains are a little better now, I think, for some reason.
Okay. But what about the drains that were built then and still remain and no one's fixed them? Jerry. That's my landlord's name.
Oh. You have to ask Jerry.
We've got an old place, Dan.
He attempts dancing and he falls down.
In the bathroom, he's dead, first of all.
It's so weird. You're like, oh, well, that's setting up the woman in this thing's going to have to teach him to dance.
Needs to teach him to dance, yeah. A little heavy-handed, but for the children who this movie's clearly made for, they'll get it later.
The dad, Ed Harris, is in his greenhouse. He's in his greenhouse in all of his normal clothes while the sprinklers are Watering the plants doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
He's also a teacher at the school, but he's just a teacher at the school for maybe 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, he's either not there or out
Or
in
chaining
his,
himself to vehicles.
on his marshland. So he's trying to save the environment.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
And by environment, it means a small patch of wetlands.
Basically, his backyard, I think he just wants it to continue to be slightly damp.
Yes, it's abutted by condos that are moving in.
Yeah.
He thinks he might win. He will not win. Even if he wins in this movie, he will lose.
He won't, not in the future. Yeah, you're going to lose it eventually.
Now, the kid is reading Cosmo. He's also studying up on female anatomy. How old is this kid? 9?
I have absolutely no idea. I would say, yeah, around my age at the time. Yeah.
He's 9 or 10.
9 or 10, yeah.
At what? I mean, if I'm thinking back on when we did anything about sex, it would have been in junior high.
Yeah.
It would have been probably the last year at junior high. No, was it elementary school?
What is the last year of junior high for you?
No, you're right. It was elementary school. So it was 5th. No.
You guys did 5th grade?
No, hold on. No, it was high school. It was high school. It was...
Okay, well, I was definitely middle school.
So it would have been
we
ninth,
had health
ninth grade.
In 8th grade, I think.
So 8th or 9th grade. How old were you in 8th grade?
I want to say, let's see, I
think you had
graduated
4
at
years.
18.
I think you had 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so I'm 14, 15, 14.
You're 12 or 13. So this information happens at 12 or 13. This is a 9-year-old doing sex education.
But to be fair, Eddie, what's the cool kid's name? I forgot already. Brad in this movie. He's older, right? You can tell. I think the other 2 kids are actually older than the main kid.
They're just taller.
In real life. Well, sure. They just look like they've, developed a little more. So I think they're a little bit older.
They're all in the same classes. They're the same age.
I don't mean literally. I mean, since we're trying to figure out their age, we could go off of their age, which I think is a year or 2 older.
Okay. Maybe
I don't know. Maybe he's a late bloomer.
He is little. Okay.
He is.
Yeah, whatever. So he's 9 or 10.
I don't know. It feels a little early, but it's the 90s, man.
Yeah, it's weird. You're just like, okay, I'm going to ignore this. I don't understand what it's about. He doesn't say to his dad, oh, yeah, I'm being tested on this. I have to know all this. He's just like digging through Cosmo, and you're like, the mom's been dead for 10 years, 9 years.
Since the kid was born, yeah.
There's no Cosmos laying around. Like a Cosmo.
How did you get this?
Now, did you ever have a Cosmo as a kid, Tony?
Well, not directly, but I mean, I had an older sister, so she for sure had Cosmos all the time, and I'm sure I read them all the time. I think we used to take quizzes all the time because those are fun. I don't know. Did you ever take those quizzes? Those are fun quizzes.
Never saw a Cosmo. Kind of understood that there was something in. Well, because I have 2 older brothers, so.
Oh yeah, no, that would be weird. Yeah,
yeah, no Cosmo happening.
Yeah, well, I used to like, and what was it, Teen Vogue or something? We used to do that. There was one that was like a cheetah or something. I don't know. We used to have lots of magazines laying around.
Middle class. Gets to school. Here's Brad. Brad has the leather jacket. Kevin is the anal retentive one. And Frank is the naive younger one who can't dance.
Yeah.
Brad has the leather jacket. We see the leather jacket trade hands a few times in the second half of the movie.
Because it is cool.
It is cool. Now there's Stacy. Now, did you understand that Stacy was the blonde the whole time?
Even when you just said it, I didn't know which one was Stacy.
Yeah, because...
So, no.
Because I was never quite sure if he was in love with... Did you know he was in love? Our main protagonist was in love with the blonde?
I did know that only because he was very intentional of only looking at her, even when other people were around and talking to him.
Okay. Because the brunette's kind of hot for him, but he's sort of in love with the blonde. But we never really clearly define all that. We don't sort of...
I mean, to the point that at the end, he just switches and someone makes a comment in the movie and goes, what just happened? And we don't know. We, as the audience, we have no idea what just happened, but that's fine, buddy.
Yeah, because at the end, he walks into the dance and there's the brunette and she's all like, I'm waiting for you. And then he just is like, you don't even exist. And then like 2 scenes later, he's all like, we're going together. We're in love.
Well, yeah, he goes up to the 2 of them, looks right at the blonde like he's done all the movie. He goes, do you want to dance? and then reaches over to the brunette as if it's like a fake out. And we're just like, what's happening? I don't, was that the whole time? When did you switch?
Maybe we were confused and he was always, maybe he's got like that thing where he looks the wrong direction.
I'm looking at you right now, Dan. What are you talking about? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here's the kid. They talk to the young girls. They go in, and then the old girls come, and the boys are like, hubba, hubba, mama, mama.
Yeah, they do like a weird boob joke. Because Kevin, is it Kevin that comes up? Because I think Brad and Frank are looking at girls.
Yeah.
And Kevin comes up. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And Brad says something like looking at the scenery or something and makes a boob gesture. I don't know. It was very inappropriate. But I did giggle.
Tony loved it. He's thinking back to those days, him and the boys hanging out on the stairs.
It's not good, right? It's not a good thing, but at that age, you're a little horn dog. You got to be careful.
Tony was a terrible person back then.
Still am. I'm still a terrible. I haven't gotten better as a person.
Okay, so the kids are like, okay, we need to see a naked lady. Okay.
Yeah. It's very confusing because they're watching porn at one point, right? Am I crazy?
It was this weird video that you're like, is that an elbow? You weren't quite sure if it was porn or not, but it was pretty damn adjacent. It was
pretty damn adjacent. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
And it's like, I always remember, like at some point in my childhood, I went to the movie theaters. I don't know if there was more than one of us, but we snuck into some terrible movie. But it was not an adult movie, but an R-rated movie, and there was a naked woman doing vacuuming.
What movie is this? I love it.
I figured it out at one point. It's one of those Elliot Gould kind of movies, where it's like it's like all these happenings, and then there's a little bit of nudity to sort of try to entice adults to actually want to see the movie.
Sure, it works, by the way.
But yeah, it was a kind of a weird way to sort of be introduced to nudity on the big screen, where you're like,
sure,
she's topless. Well,
she's topless. What's going on here?
And vacuuming.
Yeah, that's nice. I love it. We used to do scrambled porn. That was our thing back in the day.
Yeah, of course.
Because I as middle class as I was, Dan, we didn't have an HBO subscription or it's not called a subscription back then, but you have to like pay for the channel and you got like a box or something. Yeah. I don't know.
It was expensive.
Yeah, we didn't have it. It was expensive and we didn't have it.
Okay, so they need $100. They want to see a naked woman. They collect money. Then they sell all their stuff. Then they take their little bikes and they ride to the city.
Hold on, though. We got to talk about this selling stuff scene because at one
weird
point,
scene.
It's a super weird montage. But at one point, Brad has a line of girls and he's just giving them the jacket for like 1 second and then taking it off and taking it in. Like they're just trying it on and they're paying $5. I don't know. It was wild. I just thought that was very strange.
In the day of cell phones, we would have taken a picture of them and they'd have been like, oh.
There you go. See, there you go. I mean, cell phones were around, right? Like those big Saved by the Bell ones.
They were driving around with a cell phone.
I love it. Those were the days.
Yeah, it was very weird. And, it's like the 3 different kids set up in 3 different places selling stuff. You didn't really get a good look at the stuff they were selling. I was intrigued. I was like, well, this kid's selling.
One of the kids was selling VHSs, but I couldn't tell what they were.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were dirty VHSs like the one we just watched.
I don't think they were.
Because we came from the scene where they're VHSing some sort of adjacent porn thing. And then, I don't know, man. I was confused. They didn't tell us.
It was more like R-rated TV porn where you're like, it's just, it's
sure, yeah, just elbows, a tangle of limbs. Yeah.
Tangle of limbs. There are absolutely no breasts.
Very sexy.
So they ride across the river because the river is what leads to the city. How could these kids have not regularly gone to the city for something?
Seems a little weird. Seems a little strange.
We as kids came up, I lived in Orange County. We came up to LA, not all the time, but
you did
fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Multiple times a year.
100%. I mean, because all the big stuff happens in the city.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna do something, you generally go to the city. That's what the city was for.
And every one of these kids would have gone to museums in the city.
Yeah.
It's a real
Yeah,
city.
I mean, we would see. We would go to the Guthrie in Minneapolis, St.
okay.
Paul. We'd go to sports games. Those are all in the city. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the city that's what you do on the Friday night. You know, your big weekend plans. They're in the city. They're not in the suburbs. That's not what you do. I don't know.
And it is just a few minute bike ride.
Especially for them. Yeah, they got there in 10 minutes on bike, so it's fine.
One of the kids, as they're crossing the river, says, "The footpath is for virgins, not for long." The kids do not understand what virginity is.
No, we don't.
We are introduced to the pimp. He's a sleazy guy. His name is Cash.
He is so bad.
Oh yeah, you did not.
He's bad. But let me I think I figured out why they did that.
Why they did that. Okay.
He's very abusive.
Yes.
Right?
Very classically abusive.
Now, if you hired an actor who embodied that, this movie would be very different. So you hire a weird guy that can't be intimidating to do the intimidation, and it still feels benign. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Well, this movie isn't really positing the real darkness of the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you hired a good actor in that role, this would be a very different movie. It would be very uncomfortable. But you have this twerp guy with this weird ass goatee and gross hair, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the man. I'm a bad mamma jamma. You're not a person," and you just don't feel it. So I was like, this guy's terrible, but I think that's the point.
She certainly comes across as a better actress in light of his existence.
Yes. Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Hire someone terrible so I look good. she was up for an Academy Award and won a Golden Globe in one of her other movies.
For this movie. That's great. I love it.
Not for this movie. No, not for this movie. They lock up the bikes. There's a homeless guy. He's like, you guys got money? They're like, we got money. We want to see naked lady. He's like, I got your naked lady. Takes him down to an underground thing and then pulls a gun.
They're 3 kids, dude. Just beat them up. You don't need to pull a gun on these tiny little children. Oh, I love it.
She, our main character V, Melanie Griffith, is feeding strawberries to an old man in a car right next to this occurrence. She opens the door, knocks out the bad guy.
For a while. This
he's gone.
This guy has brain damage for the rest of his life. He has been passed out for about 10 minutes.
She may have killed this guy.
Yeah, which is fine because he was a bad guy.
Her dude takes off, and she's left there with these kids. And, she's left there with these stupid kids. The strawberries, knocks out the old guy. They leave. She says, I need $100 or I'll get smacked.
Yep.
And
then he offers it to her. He's like, yeah, I have it. I have $102 in quarters.
$103 and...
shoot.
$103.62.
So I guess it's not all quarters. Okay, good to know.
So now for some reason we get in a taxi.
Well, because she has to get home to her pimp to give him $100. But then where does the taxi money come out of the $100?
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. And how much is a taxi ride in the city in the 90s? I don't know.
Not that much.
Not that much?
No,
okay.
It wasn't egregious, I don't believe.
Could it be about $3.62, give or take? So she still had the 100?
Could be $3.62.
Worked out perfectly.
The poor African-American taxi driver has to listen to some of the plot of the movie, and at one point he kind of goes like this.
What? As we all do. As she's having them lift their shirts up.
Why is she having them lift their shirts up, Tony?
To make sure that they don't have any hair on their body, so that way they're not dangerous, I guess?
Yes, they're not old enough to cause her any kind of abuse.
Cause her any harm, yeah. Which is a sad statement on society.
They go to the Washington Hotel, where she has her room. There's a super prostitute standing in front of there, which one of the kids ogles, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this, prostitutes, if you live in that hotel, you do not work in front of that hotel. Not a chance.
No, because that's how you get people following you back and murdering you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes up there to the room. Our boy Frank, I just want to call him Kevin, sees a picture of Grace Kelly, which his dad always referred to his mom as a Grace Kelly. So he's all like, "Oh wow, here we go."
She's perfect. She's the one.
They ask her questions, and they realize that she would like to get married. She likes cartoons. She turns off the lights, turns on another light, and then drops her top to show them her breasts. The one kid doesn't look.
Yeah, I thought that was a cute little... I mean, this is not a cute scene, to be clear. It's very strange. This is a very weird thing that's happening. But it's cute that he, like, covers his eyes. He's like, I want to be a gentleman. Very stupid. I loved it. What are your thoughts on this scene, Dan?
She'd go to jail for this.
Only if they turn her in.
Okay.
It's a good thing we don't have people that watch the show, Dan, or I'd get canceled after this episode.
Yeah. So they leave. They're happy with the thing. She smokes a cigarette. They go down there. They see that their bikes are stolen.
Yeah, that's sad. But you know what's confusing?
Yeah.
Is that they biked to the city.
Yep.
Right? They parked their bikes and then walked a bit.
Yep.
And then got taken by a homeless guy.
Yep.
Into a parking garage. Then they took a taxi somewhere to a hotel.
Yep.
And they just happened to take a taxi to a hotel that's right next to their bikes. I'm confused by the spatial of the city. That's all.
You're correct.
All right, there you go.
I guess they wanted to put him in that because the taxi scene didn't make any sense. It was too weird.
Yeah, they just needed a place for them to like divulge some plot, you know?
Do some plot, do some weird things where we see these kids topless, which is weird.
Super weird. Yep.
Super weird. So she goes to her pimp's. Pimp gets mad because she hands him a bag of their change. He's like, "Oh, you're going to have to deal with Welzer, blah, blah, blah. And you're not a person. You're not a human being. I'm a human being."
This is such a weird scene. You're not a human. Oh, God. I mean, it's so... it's weird. It's really gross.
We're just setting up that she doesn't live a pretty woman prostitution life. She lives a life where she has to... thinking about it, there was Trading Places, right?
Yeah, that's a movie. Eddie Murphy.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis plays a prostitute in that, correct?
It's been a minute. Is that what she is? I believe that's correct.
She's a prostitute. She comes home, takes off the wig, has the short hair.
Yeah, yep.
And we set her up as this truly independent woman that's only doing... Maybe she was just a stripper. Maybe she wasn't a prostitute.
Yeah.
She might have just been a stripper.
Maybe.
But she's basically been saving all this money, and she has a big load of cash.
Yeah, she's self-empowered, you know?
She's not a victim. We set this woman up instantly as a complete victim who has no place to turn. So she's going to be in love with the suburban life, whether, because she knows nothing else.
Yeah. How lucky is Ed Harris, Doesn't matter how goofy you look, Ed. You knobhead.
Jesus, wow. So then the bad guy leaves. So then she sees the kids out in the rain. She's like, "I'm taking Cash's car."
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Just for she's dead. He would, if the scenario that happened before that, where he's like, "You're not a person, I'm a person, I blah, blah, blah," and she stole his car, she's dead. He would kill her immediately.
Yeah, that would be super bad.
She would not do that. That's out of character.
So she goes, picks up the kids, takes them to suburbia, and she is instantly envious of suburban life.
Who isn't?
Then when she stops, then the car won't start.
Yeah, I don't know much about cars, but this doesn't make any sense because at the end, when Ed finally comes out from under the car, and he's like, "I figured out what's wrong with the car. Was it the money?
Yeah.
Was the money somehow stopping the car from running, even though it ran just fine for a while?" I don't understand that at all, Dan.
Yeah, and it was a backpack.
Just a backpack full of money jammed underneath a car somewhere. I don't know.
Well, at a certain point, you're like, is anybody going to ever look in the trunk to find the money? Because we know the money's here.
Yeah.
She doesn't even think of it. they
No.
tell her at a certain point that money was stolen. She doesn't go, oh, I should go look in the trunk to see if there's stolen money.
Yep.
But she's too dumb to do that. And it also sets up this tension that we don't know where the money is. And so the money, when it, comes back into existence at the end of the movie, it didn't inform anything with their actions.
No, sure didn't.
And the one guy said at one point that the money was in the gas tank.
That's where it was?
That's what they said.
How did Ed even get into that then? I mean, he was covered in stuff when he got out from under the car. It's not how cars work. Let's just say that.
And even if you put a bunch of money in a gas tank, terrible things would happen.
Yeah, not just it would just stop. That's not how that works.
Gas tank, not a good place to hide money. Maybe gold. You can hide gold in there. Not money.
But how do you get it out? I don't understand. You'd have to cut open the gas tank.
Well, he did have an acetylene torch when he was working under the car.
I mean, you're right about that because he had the thing, right? What do you call this? A visor?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
A welding visor, shield your eyes.
Welding mask.
Welding mask.
Yeah.
See?
So that's what it was. He was using a spot welder to cut
open the gas
tank.
Yeah, let's use a flame to cut open the gas tank right now. That feels like a good idea.
I think you'd have to do a lot of due diligence of getting the gas out of there and all these things.
Yeah, you better make damn sure that is empty.
Okay, so here comes Dad. Dad runs into her, and, instantly they're in love. And
well, it's been a minute for poor Ed. Probably 10 years since he's felt the pleasure of a lady.
She's very appealing. You're just like, okay. No normal human being could resist her feminine
for
wiles.
Sure.
In addition to them sort of making her brainy at times and sort of not making her brainy at times.
Yeah, and she knows birds, which we'll find out later. So it's great stuff.
She knows birds for unknowable reasons. Oh, she watches documentaries. They
gave you the line, Dan. You should be happy.
So we set up. Frank tells Dad that she's a math tutor. Then he tells her that he told his dad that she's a prostitute.
The truth. Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah. Very interesting. Smart kid.
So we have these cross wires where we do the wacky thing where, like, you must have fun doing that to lots of children.
He doesn't say to children, he says clients. He's very careful to say clients the whole time, which is not what you would say to a tutor anyhow. Let's be very clear. And I'm like, oh, do you have a client? Are you going to go see a client, an 8-year-old math client? No, I don't think so.
So we play that game for a couple different scenes, and, it's okay written.
It was cute the first time, but at the end of that conversation, they both know they're talking about different things. They don't know what they're talking about, but there's no way that you have that conversation and aren't like, well, we're not talking about the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
He tries to fix the car, but he can't, so he's going to fix it in the morning. Do you want to ride home? I'll walk. She kisses him on the cheek. We do a random Randy Newman song while she walks to Main Street. There, like, an old dude propositions her, and all the small girls are watching, and they all see him propositioning her very specifically, and all the girls understand that she's a prostitute.
Immediately. Yeah, they're very smart.
Frank shows up with ice cream. And then he says that this is my aunt.
Which is confusing. What is he just out? What is he doing? He just finds her? I'm very confused by this.
Didn't he already spend all his money?
He gave her all the money. He gave her for the hoo-has. I don't know. Very confused.
Tell you this, when you spend all your money, you don't have money for a while.
You sure don't. I've been in that for 12 years.
We go back to the house. Dad is working on the fundraiser, this big fundraiser that they're going to have, and it's going to happen in 2 weeks, and he's worried about who he's going to get to come to the fundraiser, the big fundraiser that's going to be the central thing of the movie.
No, I don't think so, because fundraisers are boring. Let's not do the fundraiser.
Let's just skip the fundraiser. we don't need that.
I know we set it up, but who wants to go to a fundraiser? Not us.
Why would we talk about who are we going to get to come to the fundraiser, when the fundraiser is, how it's going to happen? How Melanie Griffiths is going to have to charm the whole town with her with her wherewithal and get
Wouldn't
them
that
to
have been
save the
interesting?
wetlands. Be different as opposed to just
Sure.
finding a magic bullet pile of money.
And then buying the wetlands under someone else's name. I don't even know if that's legal. She had to sign some papers that she would have had to forge his signature on.
Don't talk about that. And you have this big wad of money that the IRS is going to be like, you deposited how much
Where
money?
did
in
she
what
get
bank?
that? What's
going on with that?
what's going on here?
He sets her up in the treehouse, tells her about his dead mom. She's got a heart necklace that doesn't have a picture in it. And we're going to have this beautiful scene at one point where we put a picture in that heart and it means something, right, Tony?
No, because we know enough about the necklace. People get it. Eventually it'll get filled. It's fine. We don't need to see it.
He's like, marry my dad. And then she's like,
pretty much immediately.
The truth gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
This is after he's done a bunch of lying.
And then he's like, oh, good. I'm doing it right. I'm doing the right thing. Thank you for validating all of my life choices.
I was worried about consequences. The next morning, Frank goes to school. He gets an F on the test. And now he's going to have to give an oral presentation about sex.
Like with my mouth. That's a funny line.
Did he say that?
Yeah, well, she was like, you have to give an oral presentation. And he goes, like, with my mouth? I just thought that was funny.
That would have been
funny kid line.
That would have been funny in a funny movie.
Well, sure.
V starts just living in the house. She watches television, finds out that...
she just day one, she breaks in and lays in his bed. It's pretty weird.
Lays in his bed, pats the pillow.
That's a weird thing to happen. Yeah, I don't know.
Watches the television. The television, of course, the 1 minute that it's on, gives her the information she needs in the world.
That's what's great about movies, you know?
Cash has been murdered, and they've ritually cut out his heart?
Wow, that's intense.
That
is an unnecessary detail for this movie on any level.
We're going to have to pay that off. We should probably have to pay that off. We do not pay that off.
Someone should get their heart cut out at some point. Or like someone should try, like start cutting a little bit, you know? I want to see some shit.
Oh, it's so weird. Cut out the heart. She calls the Cash's girlfriend or other prostitute, and she's all like,
"You're probably right.
Where you at? Where you at?" She says,
"Hey, girl,"
because she's with Walter, the guy who wants to get the money back.
And who is Walter?
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell's in this movie? That's crazy. Was he already Malcolm McDowell at this time? Like, because he's a real actor.
I mean, Malcolm McDowell, the lead actor in Clockwork Orange, which was one of the most significant movies of the 60s.
And that was before the 90s, yes? The 60s are before the 90s? Okay.
Unless you're Benjamin Button, yes. 60s before the 90s.
I just, what is he doing in this weird side small role? I don't know, man.
I think there was probably a point where Malcolm had to take roles to survive, you know?
Sure. Okay.
And, you know, they're like, you're going to play this heavy? You're going to get I'm sure you got a good paycheck from it.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. He had some real stupid lines.
Yeah, you do a terrible movie like this and you have a chance that it becomes Pretty Woman or Home Alone. And
then 10 years later, he gets to be in Entourage. So it all worked out for him.
He's setting up his Entourage ascension. So she's like, I better get out of here. So she runs. The car's not working. She takes a bike. And then she goes to the school and asks them where the dad is. And then she rides the bike to the wetlands.
And I assume those are all pretty close. She's just looking for help, I think, Dan, you know?
My favorite was as she rode the bike to the wetlands, we had sweeping John Williams music.
Yes. It's like the E.T. bike ride. They're on similar levels of importance for the movie.
Oh, it is an E.T. thing, isn't it? Anytime.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable watching her ride a bike in this outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I could do it.
You could wear that outfit.
Yeah, I could wear it and I could bike just fine. You'd be like, wow, that guy's a really good biker.
So she rode there to tell him to fix her car. You got to fix my car.
Which he was already going to do after school, right?
Yeah.
So she accomplished nothing.
Well, we got to see her uncomfortably ride a bike.
I understand that we succeeded, but she failed. She did nothing.
About 10 child actors get to play school kids that are in the wetlands.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it was great for their careers. Yeah.
Like one pair of them is making out in the wetlands.
Yeah,
which was very strange.
Kids often too. Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't. I don't know. This scene was weird. then this bird flies away, and then they both go supercalifragilisticpelican.
Bird. Yep. Yep. And they both say it's wow. This is a match made in heaven. And she has the one line of, well, I watch a lot of documentaries, so.
There it is.
She's the perfect woman. Unbelievable. She watches documentaries and not just trash TV. Wow.
We're talking about trash TV later.
Well, you better believe it. Both of us are going to talk about trash TV, I guess.
All the kids are watching them as they almost kiss.
There's a moment where one of them is like, it's just you and me or something. And then one of the kids gets to say, and the 20 of us, which was very funny.
That was a good line.
It's weird. It's a weird scene. I love it.
Yeah. Back at the house, Frank gets home and she's in the bubble bath. Okay. Thank you.
Okie dokie.
And she's like, I'm staying. Now we're gonna
forever.
Now we're gonna get to my favorite part of the movie, and by favorite part of the movie, the weirdest scene maybe in any movie of all time.
Okay.
What is that scene, Tony?
Well, because at the end of this scene, he's like, "You can stay, but you have to help me with my homework."
Oh yeah, whatever.
Is this not the scene you're talking about in the school
no,
where he draws on her body?
No, not that.
Interesting. Okay, well, you tell me what the weird scene is.
Dinner.
Dinner. What happens at dinner? Remind me what happens at dinner.
He and his dad go outside with 2 TV dinners, and then they have a food race.
I loved this scene. I thought it was so cute because here's the thing: this dad is not good at being a dad, right? Like he doesn't know the at the time in the 90s, those were like the ladies' roles. You know what I mean? So like dinner and
dinner food race with your child.
Because he's like, I don't know how to make this kid eat. So he's just like, let's race our food. So that's how you make him. You make it into a game. Kids hate to eat. I don't know if you know this, Dan.
What are you talking about?
I got one nephew refuses to eat anything. And you got to like coax him into it, and his parents like baby him. You know what I mean? But you got to just shove it in their mouth. So if you turn it into a game, then he eats a lot. And then it's just like a cute thing that they do. They make TV dinners. I would love this. This would be my favorite memory as a kid if I had a dad that would race TV dinners with me. But I don't. I thought it was cute.
Since I had like a happy childhood, a real happy childhood.
Hey, guess what, Dan? Fuck you. I've got a happy family. We all get along. Jeez Louise, this guy. No, I don't. Because I think that it's like it's saying that, you know, because he asked, what did you and mom race or something? He's like, we never raced. We ate real food. But he doesn't know how to make real food because he's a man, right? That's the woman's job, Dan. So he's got to make these TV dinners. And to make TV dinners more fun, you race.
It was gross.
But also, like, wouldn't you let the kid win every once in a while? Like, feels like obviously you're going to eat faster. Yeah, he beat the kid. And I was like, of course you beat the kid. You're 20 times his size.
Wow, that's rude. He's a terrible dad.
He is a terrible dad. I mean, he's not great.
Okay, now we get to the
He doesn't even know where his kid is half the time. That's not great.
I did like that aspect of it. At one point, the kid goes in there when the dad's working to get the sleeping bag to take it out to the tree house, and he's all like, what you doing with that? He's all like, what are you up to, Dad? It just changes the subject.
Just like,
the dad doesn't
gets
even care.
No answers. Dad's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm just doing this. Okay, see you later, bud. What the fuck?
It's like, okay,
I love it.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Now we get to the classic scene of the movie.
This is the scene I thought was weird.
He's got to give a presentation to get his grade, otherwise he gets an F.
Right.
So what he does is he fakes a phone call to get the teacher out there, locks the door,
locks her out of the room.
Locks her out of the room.
The teacher who needs to give him the grade for this exercise is locked in the hallway. How does this make any sense?
Well, V crawls in the window and they talk about breasts and baby motels, and he
The baby
draws
motel, yeah.
he
yeah,
draws
yeah.
her organs on her leotard or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
And she giggles and goes, "Oh, that tickles." And I was like, whoa.
And the boys and the girls are all like, more,
They're all
more.
into it. Yeah, they're all having a great day, but the teacher not around, still an F. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
It was so weird.
It's bizarre, man. And he's like, "Who wants me to keep going?" And everyone's going crazy about it. I
The one kid falls backwards in his chair. Oh, which brings us to intercourse. Yes,
Yay!
intercourse. All I know is when we had to watch the film in like ninth grade,
Yeah.
in the library, in this little library room, I don't know if I hyperventilated, but I almost passed out. And I mean, there was no nudity or anything. There was just like showing
No, but it's a lot of information.
blood
You know what I mean?
and things, and and it's like stuff I knew, but it was just like being in that.
But it's so
group
visceral, and
situation.
you're like, yeah, you got your friends and your peers around, and you're like, what is going on? Yeah,
It was
great.
uncomfortable. I was not cheering. I was trying to keep from throwing up.
Well, that's because you didn't have a sexy lady in the front of the room showing off her body for you, or a guy. Either one would have worked.
I don't think that would have made me comfortable.
These are the testicles. You draw little circles. Yeah, would have worked. It's
No
very
thank
straight. It's a very weird scene. I don't know.
After school, he takes her to the attic where there's a rack of the mom's clothes, and she's all like, "I don't think I should wear her clothes," and then goes on to wear her clothes.
Yeah, for the record, I don't think you should wear her clothes either. That's pretty disrespectful.
Nope, you shouldn't wear her
Just
clothes.
throwing it out there.
I also like that they're like all nicely on a rack.
I mean, Ed's got some serious problems. Like we don't talk or deal with it all, but Ed's got some serious problems going on. This poor guy is not dealing with the death of his wife very well.
He has not let it go. Let it go.
No, which is, I mean, that's fine. I get it, but he probably shouldn't move on to a hooker so fast.
They're waiting for Dad. Oh, she's waiting for Dad. Dad shows up. She's standing on the porch. What magazine is she holding, Tony?
Is it a Cosmo again?
No, it is the magazine Scientific American.
I didn't pay
Do
attention.
you think a lot of prostitutes crack the old Scientific American?
Well, the ones that watch documentaries probably do. She loves science and birds. Mammalia.
I'm going to tell you something about Scientific American.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. I've never read it.
I know. I have.
Oh, I know. Nerd.
We had Scientific American all around the house as a child.
Did you?
Of course we did.
Okay.
I think my dad, I think he got that, and then he also got Aviation Week, and because he worked in aerospace.
Sure.
And it was like this weekly magazine that was like all about everything happening in the aviation.
I miss
world.
cool magazines like that, like the niche magazines that like pertain to your specific job. I feel like we've lost that.
They're still out there. You just don't have them laying
It's
around.
on the internet. That's why.
A lot of it's on the internet too. Scientific American, it's like looking through glass that's not transparent. You cannot understand anything going on. This is not a casual magazine that you pick up for some light reading because you're bored.
These science guys are so pretentious. It drives me crazy. Just use regular words, guys. It's not that big of a deal.
It's a technical magazine as opposed to, like popular science.
Like a National Geographic,
National Geographic,
yeah.
Great magazine. Anyone can pick up a National Geographic and be like, oh, this is great. Popular Mechanics magazine,
Sure.
Anyone could have picked up at that point. Scientific
Nintendo
American.
Power, same thing.
Nintendo Power.
Yeah, okay, I believe that. I have no idea.
I mean, that's for children.
What, Nintendo Power? I don't think so,
For
Dan.
children.
That was for everybody, okay?
Now, you remember back in the day when you had a video game and you got stuck somewhere and you'd have to go to the mall to find the book on it to read to figure out what the fuck?
100%. Also, I used to collect the Pokemon because they used to release Pokemon like books, like big, thick books to help you go through. Had all the Pokemon, had all the paths you had to travel. I used to have all those, and they all got lost in the move.
Lost in the move? What move? I mean, when your parents moved?
My parents moved, and I wasn't there to help, so they ended up tossing some stuff.
Oh.
I probably would be a millionaire by now, Dan.
Was any of it actually good? I mean, I can't imagine
I mean,
those are
I
worth anything.
had almost every issue of Nintendo Power ever released. I was
Those are
like
probably pretty
6
good.
short or something. I've looked. They're not that. They're not great,
okay.
which is a bummer. I think they should be better. But, had some cool stuff.
Nerds like you saved them, so they're worthless.
I know. It's tough.
Okay, where were we at? Okay, so
She's on the porch
She's over
holding the
there.
magazine.
Frank goes out. He's got his hair slicked back and he's got the leather jacket. Oh, because he won the leather jacket because of the sex talk.
Because of the bet, yeah.
This looks like the scene of him getting ready for the dance.
She said he's practicing.
But it's weird because he has the exact same hair. I don't know, whatever.
It's probably the same day, Dan. They're not going to bring in a hair and makeup specialist more than one day. You know what I mean?
Oh, so he's all like, V's all like, you got to give Stacy a gift. So she gives him the little heart locket. Right.
Which is, so I don't understand this locket. Does it mean something to her?
Don't know.
I know. So then she just gives it away for him to give to some floozy? I don't know.
This is your classic charged object, which in a good movie,
Sure,
you're going to understand what the charge is. But like if you're watching some stupid show like Lost, it's this little airplane that's in the safety deposit box. And you're like, what the fuck is this? I watched the rest of the show. I don't know what that airplane means.
What are you talking about? She got that from the farmer.
The farmer? Who's the farmer?
She was in Australia. She was running away. She worked on a farm. The guy gave her a thing, and she loves the thing, and then she put it in a lockbox. Come on, Dan.
Why did that airplane need to be in a lockbox? I don't understand.
She hid it with the money. Come on, Dan.
Why would she hide a little airplane with the money?
Because it meant something to her. She knew she was going to get arrested. She didn't want them to take it from her. So she had to go back and get her prized possessions. I mean, it's like you didn't even watch the show, Dan. I don't even know if all that's right, to be completely honest.
Okay, so now we're doing the dad. He's out on a date with the dad. She's out on a date with the dad.
Yep.
The people in the store windows are looking at her and they're like, oh, that's his sister. Oh, the sister. Oh, that's his sister.
We almost had a really good moment where there's a family looking at them and the mom is like, oh, that's his sister. And they were getting like very close. And she's like, you could learn something to her two kids about how to treat your siblings. And then they kiss and there's no line from the mom.
Oh,
there's no joke from the mom. What do you set it up?
But the
and
kid,
they give it to some kid.
The kid gets the joke. I don't want to be.
But the kid is terrible. Yeah, the kid can't deliver that for shit. You shoot that on the day. You're like, you know what? Let's do the mom. Let's have the mom say something because that's not going to fucking work. I was so disappointed.
Maybe they lost sound on it, Tony.
Maybe.
They run into Kevin's dad, who
boy
starts freaking out because he has slept with her.
I mean, what?
Kevin's there, instantly understands the situation.
Knows
his dad has cheated on his mom with the prostitute that he just a day or two earlier has seen naked.
Saw her boobies. So they shared a woman, which is that's going to mess you up for life, first of all.
That's Oedipus kind of shit. That's full Oedipus.
Yeah,
they go full Oedipus.
You are 100% right.
And this poor Kevin kid, you're just like, oh man, he's broken for life. He's screwed up.
And they make a joke out of it. He stops showering for the rest of like the movie. He's like, yeah, I'm not bathing anymore, but it's all good. It's not good. You are fucked up in the head, buddy. You need to see some. You need help. It's so weird, and then it gets weirder.
It goes full Pigpen.
So I'm just going to skip ahead so that we're all on the same thread real quickly.
Yeah.
The dad is going to call the pimp because now that he has seen the hooker, he wants to sleep with her again.
Wants to order her up. Yes. Correct.
That is so fucked up. Like, he's with his wife in bed, gets up, because he can't sleep.
Sneaks out of bed.
Sneaks out and is like, I need to have sex with this woman again. I miss her so much. It is so terrible. And it's just all kind of a joke. Now, instead, in that scene, if he was the boss and he calls Malcolm McDowell and he's like, get your ass over here. She's here. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, because
Nope, it's just weird.
we think he's being weird making that call. We're like, what is happening? This
And
is
it turns
weird.
out, guess what? He is weird. He's super weird. But it would be better if he wasn't weird and he was just bad. That would have been nice. But nope, it's just really, really weird. And this guy's just desperate to get with this woman again. I don't know.
Tony, what did you use your time machine trip with? Well, I went back to the writer's room of Milk Money. And I fixed that fucking scene.
And it is now the biggest movie on the planet, and I didn't get any money for it because I wasn't credited. That'd be a nice change.
Okay, boom. So they go back to the... So she's strict. Oh, then he says, she's a math tutor. And then V is stricken because she's all like, Kevin didn't tell him the truth. This is a mess. She runs away. They go to the treehouse, and she's like, give me your pants. Because if men don't have their pants on, that's the only time they'll ever listen.
The only time they listen. I thought that was a very funny line. But even funnier, he immediately does it. He doesn't question it at all. He just starts taking off his pants. I was like, that's funny. Ed, what a sweet guy.
Then what happens, Tony?
Then he gets mad at her for being a hooker.
She tells him.
She tells him what she does. He goes upset.
He goes crazy and says
scary.
things that you could not recover from.
100%. She's done. She's gone. Like, she should leave. I mean, she should, first of all, because he's taking this very poorly, and he's degrading her immensely. And it's, I guess, 90s were a different time, I guess. But the things he's saying, it's like, well, I don't like you anymore, Ed. Now we're done. I was on your side, and now I'm not.
Yeah, he's just beyond horrible.
Yeah. Yep.
And then let's see. Then he runs back. Dad goes back inside, and he's all like, "You got to call her on. You got to fix this. Call her on the can phone." And then
now
they try to call her on the can phone, and she just yanks
which is very funny. Just yanks it out of his hand from the other side. Do those work, Dan?
I mean, I know they work, but do they work at the level that they're working here? Well, I kind of doubt it.
Okay.
I mean,
but you've never done one?
They absolutely work. They absolutely
I've
work.
never actually tried it. I've always been curious.
Yeah, it absolutely would work. But I don't know.
Do you think we could run one from my house to your house? Because I would like to do that very much.
We could. I don't think it would work.
Because it's too far? You think there's too much in between there? We'd be wrapping around poles and stuff for about 12 miles.
I think you do have to pull it tight, right? Because that's the thing.
Because it's the vibrations?
So you're doing this, right? You're talking into this thing, and that's vibrating that string, and the string has to go off to another thing that's nice and tight. You can't just have it slack.
Slack. Okay. No. I don't know. I would like to. So if anyone has experience, let me know. I'd like to try it.
So the phone fails. So they go over there. They confront her, and then she calls Frank a liar,
Which he is.
He cries, but then he goes back inside and then throws out the locket she gave him and all his dreams in the dream box.
Dream box. That's a good name for it. Yeah. Now,
Dad and V go back to the treehouse. They have a big, long talk, and then they make sweet, sweet love.
Yeah, there's a real weird exchange of lines here where he says, if this is your first time, it's gonna hurt. And she says, are you trying to be funny? And he's like, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about making love.
Why would it
Which
hurt?
Doesn't make any sense, first of all. But yeah, they were just trying to I don't know. It was a weird writer's choice that I wasn't on board with. I didn't like it.
And this is the point where I think this is everything else about this movie. This is the reason I don't like this movie.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
Because she is choosing him over Frank. And Frank is the relationship. Frank is the relationship 100%. Of the movie. And she just burned him as hard as she could. And
they both should pick Frank. You know what I mean? They should go fix it with Frank together.
And then that's where their relationship comes from, as opposed to
it's a family. It's just about sex, man.
Them having sex. That was just it's so incredibly rude to me. And it's like, this kid's off crying, and he's suffering the true emotional trauma, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, Dan, kids cry all the time. They're resilient. They'll be fine. Ed hasn't had sex in 10 years. Okay? He's got to get it done. No, I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Kevin's dad... this is when Kevin's dad sneaks out and calls the pimp. Okay.
Yeah, I jumped the gun just because I wanted it to be linear when we talked about it, so it was fresh in everyone's mind how fucked it is.
Kevin gets up in the morning. There's mud everywhere, and he's fine. He is 100% fine.
I told you kids are resilient.
No, no. I mean, I can imagine going to bed like that as a kid and waking up and, oh man,
you wouldn't even want to. You don't want to leave your room. Like you just want to crawl inside your bed and stay there forever.
Yeah, I mean that was like it was the one true emotional moment in this whole movie, and they just handled it terribly.
Yeah, that sounds like them.
Then she teaches him to dance. He says a weird line, sex is an evil scheme. I don't know what that means. I don't know why he says that.
I don't know what it means either.
She's like, move your feet. And he doesn't move his feet. He just sort of wiggles his feet.
His toes. It wiggles his toes. It's not even the whole foot. It's just the toe.
Whatever. That was weird.
It's a dumb scene. And then they thumb wrestle to learn how to dance. Very dumb. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all. She gets him dolled up for the dance. She steals $50 from the dad and goes to Amtrak. He's working on the car.
Because they went to the grocery store to get ready, and the bad guy Malcolm McDowell comes into the grocery store, and then she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta leave town."
Yeah, I left that out. Sorry.
You did, which is an important part of why she's running away, Dan.
Malcolm McDowell isn't down, and he is about to fight her and kill her. That is true.
Yeah. So she's gonna hightail it, get out of there. She steals $50. Here's what I find interesting, right?
What do you find
Ed
interesting?
Harris outside working on the car.
Yep.
He's just outside the house.
Yes.
She leaves a note, steals $50, walks down the sidewalk.
He's
has to have gone right by him.
No, he wasn't there.
He's not there. The kid writes a note, I'm going to the dance, has to walk right by him to leave. Nobody, just talk to him. He's under the car. Just tell him. Just be like, hey, I'm leaving. It was weird. Everyone leaves him notes, and then he comes in from just outside of the house. And
Where's everybody?
Where is everybody? Very strange scene. I don't understand what's going on.
Dad cleans up, takes the car. He is seen by McDowell, so everyone's going to know where to go. He goes to the dance, or at the dance. We did this whole thing. Frank sees the brunette, but the blonde is with Brad, and Kevin stopped washing, and then V comes in, and then they get to do their weird dance.
Yeah,
Frank
thumb wrestle dance.
Frank can now dance perfectly.
I mean, really, really well.
Dad gets to the school. It's slow dance time. We do this whole blonde jacket, blonde, brunette dance, and now Kevin's with the brunette because that's
for
how
unknowable reasons. Yeah.
Kevin, dad fights with Kevin's dad.
Well, hold on. Kevin's dad comes up
he attacks
and says something to the line of, why would you bring this whore to this children's dance? Or something like that. Yes. Slut, whore. I don't know what he says, but it's like really bad. What a weird choice. So now he's like lashing out because he can't have sex with her. This guy's terrible. He needs... The end of the movie, they're like, my dad's in therapy now and everything's fine. No, this guy's fucked. This guy needs a lot more than therapy. That is not a happy family.
The kids are chanting, fight, fight, fight.
Yes,
Malcolm McDowell,
which is very true,
comes in with his gun. The kids see the gun. They pull the fire alarm. They trick him to go into the closet.
This is my favorite part of the movie, Dan.
Oh, okay. What's your favorite part of the movie?
He pulls the fire alarm. Everyone's running away. Malcolm McDowell's line. Do you remember what he says here?
There's no fire.
No. He says, fire? I hate fire. What the hell are you talking about? You hate fire.
He hates fire.
Like more than an average person? Is that like everyone else is running away? There's like fire. I hate fire. You guys don't hate fire as much as I hate fire.
Well, hold on a second.
It's the weirdest line ever.
But Tony, that's a you line.
What do you mean? It's a me line.
Talk to us about the campfires and the fire on the beach.
Sure. No, but there's no...
No, Tony, what? Tony.
There's no other, the only other fire that happens is in the car coming up, and he seems pretty okay with it. He doesn't like, he's not terrified of the fire. So I don't think he has a dislike of fire any more than a normal person. That's all I'm
I just
saying.
wanted ADR a line in there for some reason.
Fire. I hate fire. Shut up. Get in the closet.
So we have a chase with the kids driving, Frank driving, and Brad doing the pedals.
This could have been fun. It was, I felt like it was almost there. There was a couple of moments. You needed more moments of the kid on the floor.
Yeah.
Saying things and making comments, because there was like a couple, maybe one, maybe two, that he had like one-liners on the floor,
A
which
couple little jokes.
tied it to the scene. But you needed a little bit more. But it was a fun idea, poorly executed.
They race to try to beat the train. They beat the train. People are on the opposite side of the train. The cash car starts on fire, and Malcolm McDowell.
After they tear off the steering wheel, which isn't how cars work.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
No idea why that happened. There's just they're like arguing over who's going to steer, and they just pops it right off. It's very weird. I don't know.
Maybe it's like NASCAR. You can take them off in NASCAR.
It just
No, they do take. They bring them in. They're
I've seen Gran Turismo, Tan. I know they take off the steering wheels.
So why are you making a bunch of jokes like you don't know that?
Because that car does not do that. That's like an old Mustang of some sort.
And Malcolm McDowell's, they blew up my money, and so then he just leaves. You're like, oh, the police will come now arrest him.
He's just leaves. Cool with it.
He just leaves.
Yeah. So he's just still out there, right?
Yeah.
There's
he gets killed.
That doesn't.
He gets killed.
Oh, that's right. Because the boss is like, he doesn't exist anymore. Got it.
No. You put too much something on the big boss.
He doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Is that better? No, too much?
He's not going to cause trouble anymore. That's what he says. He doesn't say it in a voice. He just...
Hat in hand, I'll tell you I was wrong. You did it better.
He plays a character that we don't understand. Okay, she walks to... And they're all like, where's V? And they're like, she's gone. So walking at a normal human's pace in high heels, she just escapes and disappears.
All right. Now we need to just put a pause in this right now and talk about Ed Harris's character. So here's what he knows so far. Is that Shannon?
No, I'm patting the dog.
Oh, you're petting the dog.
Patting the dog. Pat.
I thought you were looking off at Shannon. Just for the record.
I looked over to see where I was supposed to pat the dog. Her. Goddamn
it's doing
girl
this
dog.
to her?
If only had her 11 years. You should probably know what sex my dog is. Asshole.
Well, I don't look, all right, Dan. All right, it's not PC. Okay, so let's talk about his character. So what he knows from this situation. She stole the car, kidnapped his child, set it on fire, then abandoned his child with a car on fire and ran away. And he doesn't care at all?
Well, he cares because he wants to have sex with her some more.
That's the only thing this guy's thinking about through the whole movie is having sex with her, because she just put his child in danger and he's not mad even a little bit.
There's only two things he cares about, though. The wetlands and her wetlands.
Now that's a euphemism in the movie, right? Like he's saving the wetlands and he's totally saving her prostitute vagina, right? That's what's happening in this movie.
Pretty much.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was on board.
So she walks to the city, then she walks to this house, and there's this guy, and he sits in a chair in the house, and she's all like, I gotta get out of here. He's like, but you make me money. So this guy supposedly is the big boss?
He's the kingpin. Is that what you would call the head of a prostitution ring? I don't know.
He could be the kingpin. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the kingpin runs plenty of prostitution. In addition to drugs.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
And guns, and
other things.
Graft.
All bad things. Yeah.
And then she's all like, okay. She's like, goodbye, she says, goodbye, my child. When he
which is
releases her.
So weird. Like, is he her dad? Because she left home at 14.
I don't know. I wondered if he was her dad for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very weird exchange.
It feels like she's religious too. Did you get that?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense. You know.
So we cut back to the past. Time passes. Oh no, she goes back to her old hotel room, and then she has this backpack, which I guess he gave her, And so
I
then
guess.
she almost leaves the town without the backpack, but then she goes in and sees the backpack, and then she opens the backpack, and inside the backpack's all the money.
Why is she carrying around this backpack she's never even looked in? She walked a lot of places with this backpack.
I would not be carrying a heavy backpack unless I knew what was inside of it.
Yeah, like, no thanks. Or you would just look, you'd be like, why is this so heavy right now? Oh, there's $250,000 inside.
Is that the number? Do we know the number?
I don't know. That's the number that came to my mind. I can't tell you if that's because of the movie or I just guessed it.
You just guessed it.
Wow.
Time passes. Ed Harris it's 2 weeks later. They're going to take the wetlands. He's chained himself to his vehicle. Here come the cops. They're going to tow him away. And then here comes this dude. And the dude's like, here's the deed to the wetlands.
Hold on. We got to talk about Ed Harris's character one more time. He has chained himself to the car. The policeman says, hey, if you just unhook yourself, no one's going to press charges. But if we have to drag you, you're going to go to jail. And Ed Harris says, well, if this place goes, it takes a place with me. So I'm going to go to jail, even though I have a son whose mother died and will be an orphan from here on out. I would love to go to jail instead of take care of my child. He's a bad guy.
The wetlands are the most important thing, other than having sex with a woman.
all that matters.
Then Frank's number 3.
Okay, wetlands, women. Frank is down here somewhere. I don't know.
And then she pulls up in a brand new car, and she's all like, they're like, who did this? And she's like, I did it. And then they kiss, and then she's like, and I bought a bunch of other things, including the ice cream parlor.
Where do you remember the ice cream parlor where you gave me my first kiss?
Yeah.
That was such a weird line. Such a weird line.
And then what does she say? What's her final line?
I don't know. What was her final line?
As she drives away.
I'll see you later.
Almost. See ya. See ya.
I was so close. Shoot.
Then what's the final bit of the movie?
I don't know.
You don't remember the final bit of the movie?
I think I was writing too many things because I was talking about Ed Harris's character a bunch at the end there.
Frank finds a chest hair.
Oh my God, no, I do remember that. I've got a hair. Yeah, you're right. It was funny.
No, it wasn't funny.
Out.
It was just
That's
weird.
how hair works. It just boink. So he's got all that stress gave him one long chest hair.
Oh God, you like this movie?
You had fun. Admit it. You had fun during this movie. I mean, it's
weird.
It's bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. But there's some fun stuff to it. And honestly, if you just ignore the whole part where they pooled their money to see her boobs and then that's how they bring her into their life, it's almost a normal movie.
Yeah.
Like you could make this movie without making it that weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's possible. And they probably should have done it that way, but that's fine.
Well, they should have been buying the prostitute for his dad.
Which is a joke they make in the movie, and you're like, well, yeah, no, that makes more sense than what you did. Why are you making fun? So in the writer's room, somebody pitched that idea, and they were like, boy, this guy's an idiot. Let's make fun of him in the script. But he was right.
He was absolutely because
that guy was right.
That's like a bit, they're like, how are we going to get some? Oh, in the back of this magazine, here's all these women, and the woman's like, you bring me $100, I'll do whatever you want, your dad.
There you go.
And then they go down there, and it's this creepy woman, and they're like, ugh, and then they meet her.
Not
and
this one.
She's got the heart of gold. It's her roommate. It's not rocket science.
It pretty much writes itself. Okay, guys, let's go back to one, please.
There's a 40s movie called Ball of Fire with Barbara Stanwyck.
Great name.
And she's like a gangster's girlfriend, and the gangster doesn't want her called up by the prosecutor to, give evidence. And so they hide her out with a bunch of guys that are working on writing an encyclopedia, a bunch of professors. And then she falls in love with the one good-looking professor played by Gary Cooper.
Of course, as you would.
And then at a certain point, the gangster comes, and it's
time to collect.
This is a very straightforward movie, and the beats are all very understandable, and that's why when you do weird things about leaving notes, it's just work out your timeline. Weird. It's pretty straightforward, whatever.
Make the friend's dad a little less creepy, please. My God.
Or make him the mastermind, and then you're like, oh well, Kevin's still gonna get screwed up.
Yeah, I mean Kevin's not gonna have a good life. Okay, I think we can all agree with that. No matter which storyline you go with, he's screwed. So let's just make it make more sense.
Anything else to say about this classic?
I had a good time. I had fun watching this movie. This is great. I wish I would have seen this as a kid. I probably would have loved it.
You would have. Now we talk about something we like. The thing I like is I'm listening to Joe Firestone's. She wrote a book, but in addition to writing the book, she made it a podcast. So she reads her whole book on a podcast, and the book is called "Murder on Sex Island."
That sounds great.
And
is this good?
It's hilarious. I mean, I won't say it's hilarious. It's super amusing and super fun. She's like this kind of crazy woman, basically herself, who dresses up like she's a private detective. So she leads a dual life. Yeah. So she's a private detective,
of course.
And her favorite show is Sex Island, which is Love Island. And then one of the people on Sex Island goes missing, and so they hire her to come in there and join the cast to find the missing person.
This sounds great.
It's great. Super great.
I need to. Yeah, I'm in.
It's super fun.
I'm 100% into this
because it's like that she is the writer, loves those shows.
Yeah,
as the
100%.
trash they are, and so she's going to be able to properly lampoon them and Hollywood and everything else in between. She was like a writer for I think on Fallon and then on Seth Meyers, and she's a New York stand-up comic, and she's very, very funny, and so she's super quirky. It's very enjoyable, and the whole book is basically free as an audiobook if you want to do it that way on a podcast.
I don't want to do it that way. I can't do audiobooks.
You can't do audiobooks.
It doesn't work. No, I start zoning out. I don't know what it is. Like I start zoning out, and then I'm like, wait, I've missed 4 chapters. I better rewind it.
There you go. Listen twice. What do you got for us, Tony?
Well, 2 things on this Sex Island thing. We're watching some more Below Deck. We're just obsessed with the show. This is the best show I've ever had. And we're watching the sailing yacht, Below Deck sailing yacht now. It's a treat.
Such a terrible show.
It's so good, man. It's ridiculous. These people. I wish I worked on a boat. Seems fun. Anyhow, and then I want to shout out another podcast, Overlooked Pictures. 10 out of 10. Everybody go give them a listen. Subscribe, like. What do we say? Subscribe, like,
comment,
share. We don't talk comment. That's the one. But share as well. Spread the love.
The guys that do that are friends of our show, so we're spreading the love, and spend some time. Give some love.
Give some love.
So on Shay's list, there was another movie that I don't think I ever saw. I think it came out, when I was in my movie watching age, and I believe it got so panned that we never went and saw it.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And that movie is Free Jack.
Okay, this is one of the ones I didn't know. I'm excited.
It's
Free Jack.
It's a time travel movie with Emilio Estevez and the lead singer, I believe, of the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger.
You're kidding me. This sounds amazing.
It would be if it was good.
Anthony Hopkins is in it. Rene Rousseau said, wow, this is going to be the best movie we've ever watched. I'm very excited.
Hey, you like Milk Money.
Thank you, Shay.
This is made in the 90s, so you'll probably like it.
This is beautiful. Yeah, this is right up my alley. This is good stuff. I'm ready.
Oh, dear. It's going to be terrible. That's the end. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll be back next week talking about Free Jack.
Goodbye, everybody.